Joining us now is a real-life king, a Pearly king, in fact, with a family rumour that dates back to the 1800s. It's all about a long-lost fortune which is tied up in one of London's most famous landmark pubs, the Windmill in Clapham Common.
My name's Jerry Baxter. I'm from Streatham in Lambeth in South London, and my wife's an East Ender. We are the Pearly King and Queen of Streatham. The Pearlys are unique because it started in 1875, and it was a young lad that actually thought, how could he raise money for the local workhouse where he was brought up in and the local hospital? And he thought, if I made a suit covering the buttons, and he attracted so much attention with his collecting tins, that it spread all over London, and families continued with those titles because they were given a title for each borough. I love being a Pearly King because of what it does. I mean, it is a family tradition. I love the history of families, and I've always been interested. And Dad had said to me, the Windmill pub in Clapham Common was owned by an ancestor, and I'm not sure how far back. And he said that there was some problems, mental illness. The owner possibly was taken to an asylum, and the government took the whole lot. It would be lovely to sort of go past it and say, yeah, one of my ancestors owned that, and actually say a little bit more about how they owned it, why they owned it, why they got rid of it. Could we be secret millionaires? I'd probably find out that they were horse thieves that used to visit it or something, but yeah, I'd love to know as much as possible.
Gerald, or Jerry, I'm told I can call my king.
Yes, you may.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's find out about the Windmill pub to give us some clues. There was indeed a windmill in the 17th century, the 1600s, an ideal location, of course, and then later on it became an ideal staging post for coaches passing through. Not nearly as la-di-da as it is now, that's for sure. But it would have been a great place to make money, to be honest, if you were a publican. So let's find out what we can. Here we have a family tree, and we're tracking back through the Baxter line. That was the tip-off you gave us, that this was in your paternal line, going up through the Baxters.
That's right.
So here we have our Pearly King, Gerald Baxter. We've got a James Baxter, born in 1848, so we're mid-19th century, if you can see there, your great-grandfather. Yes. Well, we decided to start with your great-great-grandfather, James Baxter.
Yep.
And we identified James Baxter's baptism.
Yes.
You can see there, his father and mother are William and Sarah Augusta. Rather grand.
Oh.
You can see that William, the father of James, who's being baptised, is a shoemaker, not a publican, but no matter. Let's stick with the James and the William pairing and see what becomes of them. Because here we have the census from 1841. So some 20 years later, and I'm going to point out for you a William Baxter, and you can see he's married to Sarah, and he's got a son called James. And you'll remember 20 years earlier, he was just a humble shoemaker, but now he's calling himself a writer.
Oh.
And if you look down, his son James is not getting his hands dirty. He is a clerk, okay? So they're not doing badly as a pair.
No.
Now, 6 years later, James acquires a wife, Sarah Ann. Let's now look at that marriage certificate. Okay, 1847, James Baxter with Sarah Ann Shepherd. But you can see that James, when asked to give his rank or profession, says he's a gentleman. He's above work by this stage, okay? So he's gone from being a clerk to being a gentleman. So things are going rather well. Well, not every story has a happy ending, does it? And sadly, James, who married Sarah, she had 6 children in a 10-year period. She died prematurely, about 10 years after their marriage, approximately. And that had a dire effect on the family. The father, William, also dies. So we see James and his old mother, Sarah Augusta, in charge of 6 children. That situation doesn't last long successfully. Unfortunately, we believe that James and Sarah ended up in workhouses, and the 4 youngest children in a poor law school. The Poor Law of 1834, of course, was designed really to solve the problem of unsightly poor on the street. And it was seen as a way of incentivising the poor, so it wasn't just pure charity.
Oh,
you know,
no.
you can come and be given a roof over your head, but you work for it.
Yes.
And this is not the end that Gentleman James would have envisaged, I don't think, when he married 10 years earlier in 1847. And I regret to say there's evidence that both James and Sarah could have died in the workhouse. Is this a shock to you, to find a dead end in a workhouse for a big part of your family tree?
Definitely. I mean, I didn't know anything about that. And it's not the most pleasant of outcomes.
It would have been hell, I imagine.
God.
But I'm afraid we failed to find anyone attached to the Windmill pub in Clapham Common. However, we bore in mind our quest, because you're here today, something must have gone right, and you're still carrying this family story, the Windmill pub in Clapham Common. And we felt maybe we'd missed a trick. So we decided to return to James Baxter before it went horribly wrong and he ended up in the workhouse. You'll remember he got married.
Yes.
Sarah Ann Shepherd, 1847. Now, earlier we looked at his father. We were focused on William Baxter being a gentleman. But if you look below William Baxter, the other father, it's a Thomas Shepherd. And do you see, in the rank or profession of father, he is named as a licensed victualler.
Yes.
And a victualler is?
The pub
The
owner.
person who's licensed to serve alcohol.
Yeah.
So suddenly, we're on track, we feel. The quest is to find out if this Thomas is in some way connected to the Windmill pub in Clapham Common. Now, we could find his children's baptism certificates, and in those, there was confirmation that he was a publican in various different licensed buildings. But it was proving elusive, looking for the Windmill pub, OK? No clear or concrete evidence. And in fact, he proved a bit elusive. We couldn't find him in a couple of censuses. Where had this Thomas Shepherd gone? So we decided to change track. And instead, we looked for his will. Because if you're a publican, you're a man of some means, and therefore it would be assumed, leave or at least write a will. And Thomas didn't let us down, you'll be glad to hear.
Oh,
OK?
right.
And here I can show you, written in October 1829, his will. And I'm going to point to you the word, the Windmill.
Yes.
So he's a leaseholder. Remember, he doesn't own the pub.
Yeah.
He says, I give them the leasehold house now occupied by me, called or known by the sign of the Windmill, and situated in the New Cut Lambeth. You, Mr. Pearly King, have been looking for the wrong pub.
Oh, dear.
And where do you live? What borough?
In Lambeth.
Right. So the pub of your ancestors has been right under your nose. So how do we feel about that, then? Are you pleased that you're actually located in Lambeth?
Well, yes, exactly. That is so good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great fun.
Brilliant. Fantastic news. So it's added credence to the story that we've had, only just with a slight twist. The pub that I am connected with is 3 miles from the pub we thought we were. Clapham Common, well, it's all right, but the Cut's much better.
Another case solved, as we've discovered the fate of Jerry's Victorian ancestors and also confirmed he's connected to the Windmill pub, just not the one he thought.